Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talk About It Tuesday. I'm Tosca, founder of Tosca Coaching and Consulting, and I'm super excited for you to be here today. I'm going to be talking to Eden, and we're going to be talking about finding the light in the dark. So he will be joining us momentarily, and here he is. So let's get him on. Thanks for joining me tonight. I'm super excited for you guys to meet Eden. You're just gonna love him. Hi.
Hey,
So good to have you on the show, Eden. It is like my
thank you.
absolute honor.
Oh, I'm so grateful to be on the show as well. Like, it's such a good platform to be speaking about like all these things, and I'm so grateful that you give us like the ability to voice what we need to say and do it in a way that's like received and nurtured, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And thank you so much. I know that this can be intimidating, to just have a live conversation. We don't know exactly how it's going to go or what we're going to exactly talk about. So
Yeah.
I appreciate your bravery and your vulnerability in doing this. And I know that you're doing it because of, something that's really important to you.
Yeah.
And
Um,
yeah.
And so, like, basically, like, I really wanted to speak about like suicide and my experiences around it, and hopefully, like, that will help somebody else see like the light in the dark, and be able to come out onto the other side of, or even have the tunnel completely disappear, you know.
Mm.
And so, yeah. Um, I grew up with a narcissistic father, in a very like emotionally invalidating like circumstance, and that actually had led me to like suicidal like thoughts, feelings, and actions, and like I've I've been on this healing journey trying to figure my life out since, and it's always, one step before the next, and no step is easier than the last, but we have to keep taking them regardless of, um, whether we think we can or we can't. We just have to do it, you know,
Mm.
because eventually the darkness goes away. Um, so, a part of like my healing from that, like I was in and out of like toxic relationship. I couldn't put the alcohol down. I was slipping into drugs and stuff as well. And that's a whole nother journey in itself, and brings its own things that you have to heal from that as well. And so, I had a really bad experience when I was 20 something, and an ex-boyfriend and we were at um, a party, and I ended up having like one or two beverages, and I blacked out. And I guess I was, at the point where I was like talking about suicide, and, they weren't sympathetic, and things got out of hand. And, that's like another thing that, you know what I mean? Like, and that was my big wake up call. That was the moment when I was like, I because I was doing so much work on myself, with like crystal healing and things of that nature, but it was like nothing was enough. Like, I always needed that next rock, or I always needed that next thing that was gonna magically heal me. And there, I wasn't doing the work, or I didn't know how to do the work yet.
Mm.
And so the crystals were like, you're almost there. You're almost there. Just keep going. Just keep going. It's gonna, And so that's when I started researching. I was like where do I get help? I was like Google, like, um, and so like I found like a like a like almost like a suicide hotline, but not, because this is like that's for like when you're in the crisis and you're in the moment and you're like, okay, I think I'm gonna kill myself, and you're like, that's your last lifeline. You just want to call somebody and talk about what you're going through, so that way people know that you're not alone. And and it's great. And I've actually used suicide hotlines a lot actually throughout my journey. And they help because sometimes you just need somebody to listen. And like, I'm always there. Like, if anybody ever needs like that safe space, like, I invite you to like message me or whatever. Like, whatever you're going through, like, there's nothing you can say to me that like is gonna shock me or whatever. Like, I've pretty much been through it all, like, at this point. And yeah, I just love to cultivate that sacred space. But so I started doing the research, and that led me to a therapy called DBT, which is dialectic behavioral therapy. And it also goes by the name of CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. And it taught me the skills to like cope with life, but also to do the work. So now I was no longer neglecting like my internal stuff, because I knew now that like I was valid, and I knew how to validate myself even if others were not validating me.
Mm.
And that was extremely profound, extremely profound. I can't say enough how profound it was, because all through everything, like, even when I'm at my lowest low, like, um I know that I'm meant for something greater, and I'm working towards it, and it'll happen. Just keep going, that's the big theme, like, one step before the next. In Finding Nemo, it's like, you just got to keep going, because even if you lose your mind, you're eventually going to help someone else find their way home.
Mm.
And so that's my big one. And that's why I keep going and keep talking about it, and just keep putting the information out there, because I know that's like what saved me. um so, and then, which I'm really grateful for, because if I didn't have those skills, I wouldn't have known how to navigate other things in my like the next things that were going to come up for me. And they were really big, And it's like, I moved to California to pursue my dream of becoming a gemologist, and it was like my destiny was finally aligning, and fate was like shining on me so bright, and I was just like, I was literally living my best life. And it just kept getting harder, though, and that's the thing, is like, everyone says that it gets easier, and I wish I could agree with them, because it's such a beautiful look, but it's not the reality. And the work is never done, and we just get better at like either we get better at dealing with it, we get better at calling it out, we get better at saying no when we don't want to, so it's like, it gets better, but it doesn't get easier.
Mm.
um and so that's something that is like also profound in another sense too, because um the weight of like that doesn't need to be carried by just one person, because like I have you here to talk with me about it right now, and that's feeding me, because like I can get the message out there about suicide and about how it really does affect like more people than we realize, you know? And it's like, you know, the statistic, it's one in, a person dies every 4 seconds from suicide, and a person dies from COVID once every 8 seconds, which is like making mental health and suicide the pandemic that we actually don't talk about and we shun. So like that's going in more into like you know, people who have like schizophrenia and bipolar disorder and things like that. Bipolar is finally like starting to make its way into mainstream media, and people are less scared to be labeled that. Even if they aren't that, they're like, oh great, I get to attach myself to something and now I can work on something. And so I think that's great because they're ready to like take their life back into their own hands and they're ready to do the work. It's just some people may not be doing the right work because they think that there's something wrong with them that's not actually wrong with them. And so that's been something that's been like a struggle for me, is because like it's like I I wonder a lot like if like I have like too high of expectations, or if you know, I'm just like surrounding myself with the wrong people or things like that. And it's just I think I'm doing really well actually. Like I've been like you know, in and out of therapy, and I yeah. So
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh my
Um
gosh. Yeah. I mean, you shared so much of yourself in that, of your journey, so
yeah,
much wisdom. Thank you so much for, yeah, sharing that, because I think it's important for people to hear like that they're not alone, that it's, other people struggle too. And so I feel like when you're sharing your story, you're really, you're helping people that you have no idea
right.
necessarily who you're helping or who you're touching.
And
Um,
I'm grateful for that. And
mm.
sorry. I
Well, I wanted to, you shared so much, and there's so much that I kind of want to pull out.
yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah. And of course, if I ask you anything that you don't want to answer, it's totally fine. And I also just want the audience here to know, who's watching now or later, I am a coach. I am not a therapist, right? And you are not a therapist, but you've been through your life experience has so much value in sharing what it was for you. So I just
and
say that to,
DBT actually
mm,
sets you up to like be your own therapist.
mm,
And that's like the really cool thing about it, is like it shows you how to essentially validate yourself without needing outside validation, which is extremely profound.
and that's actually one of the things I really wanted to like dive a little deeper with, because
Yeah.
with clients that I work with as well, and even, myself, right, having to go through that process, I'm really curious, right, because we're so trained on that external validation, right, and
Mhm.
the feedback that we get, and, whether it's, we can be hooked on positive validation, we can be hooked on negative, right, or lack of validation.
Right.
So how did you turn to be to yourself? Like what did that look like for you?
Well, it's like I started chasing things that I wanted for myself rather than what I felt other people wanted for me, or like what I felt like I was supposed to do, you know, like there for a while, like I went into like the health industry because like my grandma was a chiropractor, and like all my like, you know what I mean? So like there's a big
Mm,
medical kind of push behind like a lot of my family. So,
mm,
um, but that's not what fulfilled me. And then my soul was just kind of crushing in on itself after that. And so I was just like, I needed a way out, you know? And, and DBT is a really awesome thing because like it takes about a year to complete. And you do group therapy for 2 hours once a week, and you do individual therapy for 1 hour once a week as well. So it's a really intense like process, but by the end, like if you drink the juice and you do the work, like yeah, anything is possible. Um, yeah.
Yeah, so it sounds like what I'm hearing is you figured out, you saw that you were following a path that wasn't your own,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then
And
you decided to honor what lights you up, it
yeah,
sounds like.
right. And and you know, like it was still the crystals. It was always the crystals. It's always ever been the crystals. Like that's where my heart and soul is with like them and preserving their natural beauty.
Mm.
And and then also using them as like healing tools, um, which you know, like fast forward and my journey got even more difficult because then suicide came full circle for me and I ended up witnessing somebody else take their own life. And the impact of that has been um, very deep and very traumatizing. And I don't know if I'll ever heal from it. And, but that's okay. And that's something that I'm learning. And it's like that, the depth of that, like pain that I feel because of that is like bringing the right people to me, you know?
Mm.
And I'm so
Mm.
grateful for it because I'm getting to do the right work with the right people for the right reasons. And that is like an even bigger ripple than the ripple that I was making with Starbucks, you know? And that's how like the guy found me was like, you know, that's I was working at Starbucks and I was a barista and he would come in regularly and we would chit chat and I would make his beverage and he would go about his day and like but he invited me out to a on a outing to like go shoot guns and so like I'm from Ohio, like guns is normal, like so I was like, sure, yeah. I was like, show off one of my useless hidden talents, you know? And I didn't even get to shoot that day, which was like, I was like, that sucks. You know, I was like, I didn't get to show off. Like, that was like, like, that's a realization I'm just now coming to, which is kind of funny. Um, that I can laugh about it now, you know, because like, you know, not even, I mean, even 6 months ago, I couldn't have laughed.
Mm.
Even a month ago, you know, because like I've
Mm.
just now been coming to terms with the fact that, you know, I loaded the gun for him, you know, because
Mm.
he was like shaking so bad because he was obviously he had premeditated it. And um,
Mm.
yeah, so that's been really difficult. Um, but it's like, I keep making my steps forward and I keep trying, I keep doing my best, and I keep knowing that like as long as I just trust the process and I like surrender to the universe,
Mm.
that like everything is gonna be okay. And you know, I'm gonna make the tunnel go away for so many other people as well as myself. And it's interesting because like I've been developing like agoraphobic behavior and stuff like that, and so I'm actually thinking about moving to New York to help with like confronting that fear of the outside. Because
Mm.
if I'm inside the city, the outside is at my doorstep, every time I go outside. So it's like here it's like it's kind of country-ish. Like I'm in the suburbs, so it's not quite the same. Like I still feel it, but like it would be taking me that much closer to like outside of my comfort zone and pushing my boundaries and getting what I want from life, because there's so many
Mm.
opportunities in New York that could actually fulfill and like um help me reach my ultimate destiny. And I'm just um continuing to like be a light and to hold the light and to let others know that um they can hold light too, and it's possible, and if they need help they can always reach out to me. And um there's like you know a depth of compassion that I have because of everything that I have been through and everything that I've witnessed. And like I just yeah.
I just, Eden, I mean, what you shared, right, is it just it's so I find something so powerful in what you shared, which is that you're able to see how that experience somehow is serving you.
Yeah,
Like, which is such a I mean, obviously
I
we
mean,
all wish it never happened,
yeah,
but to because that is such a principle of I think the work in my mind, and I don't know how you feel about this, but when we experience tragic things and traumatic things that we wish nobody had to deal with, if we can ask ourselves, how is this serving me? It's such a much more powerful question, and a question that can help move us forward as opposed to, why did this happen to me?
right. And that's like something that's very interesting for me as well, because like I it's like I'm diving deeper into like my career like as a jeweler and everything, and I'm really grateful for that. But like at the same time it doesn't really pay the bills right now because I don't have you know a lot of stuff that I need to like really be excelling at that. But I mean it'll come, so it's just a step. It's each step before the next until you know the
Yeah,
next step.
until right. The thing I keep using, and I'm looking at a picture right now, which is like lily pad to lily pad, like to get
Yeah,
across the pond. Like it's not about knowing how you're going to get all the way to the other side. It's just about, can we do that thing in that very next moment,
yeah,
that propels us in the direction that we're looking
right.
to go. And I mean, and there's been comments here certainly about your light that you shine. Strange Exposures talks about seeing you in the crystal shop, and
Oh,
um,
yeah,
yeah,
that.
and and another mention about how your face really lights up when you talk about crystals. And when you were sharing your story in the beginning, right, you talked about how you were listening to the crystals and they were telling you stuff. And I just want to go back to that a little bit, because
Yeah,
crystals are definitely coming in, right? Coming into like more mainstream. They've been a part of healing practices, since
for
the
yeah,
beginning of time. And I think that some people, and look, myself included, right? Like when I first started discovering crystals, it felt like, this is so weird. Like but, but I'd love to hear your journey, like with crystals. Like what was your, I don't know if you remember your first encounter, or like, how did they help you get to the point where you said, I need to do something else for my healing?
right. So, um, well, like, so I know like my first like conscious like purchase of crystals was Fenster Quartz, Yellow Apatite, and Chrysocolla.
Mm.
And so the reason why I got the yellow appetite, it was because I felt like I had no control over my life. Like I was just living a movie. Like I had no
Mm.
willpower, like, and everything that was happening to me was because something was controlling me. And I wanted the control over my life. Like I didn't want to
Mm.
do those things because I wanted to do something else. I wanted to do these things. And so that's why I got the yellow appetite, was for willpower. And then also like I had a lot of like, pain and anxiety and sadness, deep, deep sadness. And chrysocolla, it's like a stone of divine feminine power or energy. Um, as well as like Blue Moonstone and a couple others. But for me, like Chrysocolla really stood out as that for me, like because like it helps to connect you with Earth again, and Earth is very feminine, very sacred, and very life
Mm.
giving. And so that's where I went with Chrysocolla. And then I got Fenster Quartz because like it helps with charting our journey through space and time. And then it also helps you to like use that chart to like understand how like your past lives play out in your current life. And so there's certain amount of trauma that we're forced to experience because of like what we've done in past lives, which is a whole nother crazy thing to think about and to even understand. But and so it's like that's what jump started my
Mm.
crystal journey. And then
Mm.
it was like because like I just wanted the pain to stop. Like I was in
Mm.
so much pain. Like I didn't feel like my existence was valid. I was like, I felt like I was a waste of space, and like I didn't,
Mm.
you know what I mean? So, and it's like so many people feel like that
Did you like no
on
like
a regular
did you
basis.
just happen to go into a store and see like I need that, or like had you heard about crystals before? Like what, I'm curious what
Well,
made you.
yeah. So, like, I had like really loved like The Craft and like those like simple movies, like, but then like also my aunt Darlene, she gave me my first two crystals, which was green
Mm.
aventurine and hematite, which green aventurine helps with like aligning your male and female bodies from your etheric to your physical body. So it makes you feel more like you, more, and then the hematite helps with grounding and balancing
Mm.
that. So like that was a really powerful combination to give like a two-spirited person like myself,
Mm.
because like I was constantly being told that I was a boy and that I was to be manly and to do manly things, but I was like, well, maybe some of them, but some of me wants to be a girl and be girly. Like so I didn't get it because like I wasn't a girl, I wasn't a boy, but I was like floaty. And so that was like really weird. And my dad, I don't
Mm.
think knew how to handle that. And
Mm.
which that's like, yeah, a whole lot of trauma. But, and it was like, I was super grateful that like I got into, seeing that therapist because, he was gonna, take me down the EMDR track, which EMDR is about like an electrotherapy where like um, yeah, it's interesting. But he said that I needed the DBT because if something came
Mm.
up during the EMDR, he was afraid that I wouldn't know how to handle it or I wouldn't know how
Mm.
to process it, and I could end up killing myself, which is epic. Um, and so he didn't say that I would kill myself or something like that. He was very professional about it, but that's just like a
Mm.
realization that I came to with talking about it. And
Mm.
so, yeah,
Yeah, so it's not like,
sorry.
yeah, a few things there. No, my God, don't be sorry. So like, it sounds like you were exposed to this idea of crystals and like what could possibly be helpful for you. And
Yeah,
I kind of think of it like, whatever it is, that people feel will help them in their journey,
Yeah.
be it, it could be hugging trees, it could be laying in the grass, it could be
That,
holding a crystal, right? Like it's, I feel like sometimes, people like you do this thing like in other ways, and it's
mhm.
easy to look at like new behaviors or something that you're not familiar with as like totally like this is totally crazy, but actually it's not, because you
Right.
pet dogs to make you feel more comfortable, you hold a stuffed animal to make you feel like loved, and so
Yeah.
I say this because for anybody who's watching who's like, what the hell can crystals do for my healing journey, like, a new way to think about it or a different way to think about it,
Yeah.
um, to invite in what I think, what if something is calling to you, if you walk into a store and you're like, holy crap, I feel compelled to get this moonstone thing or whatever it
Yeah.
is,
Do
it's
it.
like, do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like do it.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes too, I don't know how you feel about this, Eden, but like I think some of it is even just the idea. Like it's like if you believe it or if you don't, it's true. But this idea that, hey, this thing can remind me that I'll be okay, or this thing reminds me that it's okay to be who I am.
Well, I
That's what
think,
matters, I
yeah.
think.
Yeah. And I think it's like there's a part of it that's like actually slowing down. So like
Mm,
in our like culture, we're always like on to the next thing, on to the next thing. You don't love me? Okay, on to the next one.
mm,
And it's like actually taking the time to slow down and to feel your body and to feel the
mm,
vibration of your body and as it relates to things around you. And so
mm,
that's been extremely profound for me as well because like
mm,
there's that lady who like she's like if it doesn't spark joy, get rid of it. Like
mm,
that is so true. Give like the things that do not bring you joy, like give them back to source. Like
mm,
say source like this is not serving me. I need you to take it back from me. And over time it'll release. But also it's like there is a whole world of reality. So like when in like the whole like crystal healing stuff, it's like we get trapped in our like crystal healing bubble because it works for us. And
mm,
so like when other people come in and they're like,
mm,
it doesn't work for me. Well, that's just because like they're closed off to it and they're hurting so much that they want other people to hurt too because
mm,
they want misery loves company.
mm,
So like there's a thing about that. And so there are people out there who will try to derail you from your journey because they're not happy and so they want to see you unhappy.
mm,
And that realization is also extremely profound because
mm.
it's you know you just got to keep going because your tribe is going to find you
Well,
and
and I
it's
think
going to be great and you're going
that
to just love it. So
yeah, I think too, Eden, you know, my belief is that the people that are hurting others, um, they don't always know it, right? Like hurt people, right? And
right.
sometimes it's conscious and sometimes it's unconscious.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know, like I don't know if you feel that way.
it's true, which is like a part of like why it's hard for me to share about like the suicide and stuff because like by opening up that conversation, you give somebody else the space to be traumatized by your trauma. Or
Mm,
and then there's also the term trauma bonding that comes up and it's like, is it healthy or is it not? So whereas
Mm,
like some people are like, oh yeah, you've been through such bad stuff, but listen to what I've been through, and
mm,
so and then people start to try and one up each other. Like
mm,
they think that it's about like having a worse life because that somehow makes you more worthy than the next. And that ideology is a
mm,
capitalistic fallacy.
mm.
and
Yeah, I
and it
mean, I
goes into
think,
ableism too, because people are like, I'm so able and capable of dealing with these things, and so why aren't you? Why can't you?
mm.
And it's like, I don't know.
You bring up such a
It's
good point, right? Of,
Mhm.
I mean, this, right, this hesitation. Do I share my story because there's, if people are not healthy, right, or if they're not aware,
Yeah,
right, there can be some things that go on with that that need to be addressed. But I think that, you know, what I love about this conversation with you, Eden, is that you've done so much work, right? And so clearly your sharing is in service,
yeah.
of
I
you've
try to make
started
sure I gauge it, so like I
well, from
do.
the yeah, I mean, from the very beginning, you've said if anybody wants to reach out to me, you're a safe space. And, I
Yeah,
think the piece, what you're saying also is bringing this to light, right? So that other people know, like, what gets into dangerous territory in terms of this one up and in terms of, like, you know, the
well,
idea of,
sorry,
no, go ahead, what were you going to say?
I forgot. There was just like
Mm.
so the I forgot again. Sorry.
That's okay. Let me know. Just interrupt
Yeah.
me anytime you
Okay.
want, if it comes back.
Yeah.
Um, And what I was saying was, right, that this idea of even it makes me think of the examples within grief, right? Of like people don't know how to hold space for people in grief, and they'll often start talking about, oh, well, I lost my dad 10 years ago, or and then it's not about the person and what they're experiencing, right? You make it about you, which is kind of what you're saying, whether it's one up or whether it's just not knowing how to support people that share their truth,
Mhm.
um, or go into fix it mode, and all of these kinds of behaviors, I think,
Right.
are just part of awakening to what's healthy and what's toxic and what's ego and what's not.
Right.
So I love that you're bringing all of this up because it's all part of the conversation, because I think what the reason for this platform and to bring these kind of taboo like topics to the forefront is to say these aren't taboo at all. The
Right.
fact that so many people are making choices to end their life is why we absolutely have to talk about it and talk about the ways out and talk about the light in the
Yeah.
darkness so that we can find other solutions you know that honor that each life is important and each life matters and you're meant to be here and
Yeah.
exactly who you are.
And it's like so many people, like it's like how many times like they keep doing the same behaviors and keep messing up, and like they keep wishing that they didn't do that. And it's just like, how many times does God have to save you until you realize you're destined for greatness? And how many times do you have to like let yourself fall short before you can rise to the occasion and give light, or and speak the truth,
Mm.
and so that's like another thing that's um you know
And what helps you, like, you talked about growing up in a household that didn't
emotionally
welcome you
invalidating.
for,
Yeah.
yeah, emotionally
So
invalidating. Yeah, like how did you know that this wasn't right, like this wasn't what you should experience as a human being?
it's just there was just this knowing, and
Mm,
it's just like, you know I would feel the weight of the wind on my skin,
mm,
and it's almost like God was saying, like, just lean into me and I'll catch you, and like that, like sense of magic that nature brings to life.
Mm.
And it was just like there can be harmony within nature, and we can coexist with nature and create a peaceful world. And I firmly believe that if we can create world peace, then all of the problems that we have been facing with getting off this rock will just dissipate, and we'll be like zooming throughout space, and like I'll have a ski resort on Neptune and a house on Mars. Like, like,
I love it. Tell me again the degree that you want to get in this.
yeah.
What's it called
So,
again?
I'm pursuing a PhD in geophysics, because I think it will help me with forging the field of terraphysicism, which is the physics behind what it takes to terraform an inhabitable planet into a habitable planet. And it's just, I would love to talk about nature and like how
Mm,
great it is to coexist with it, and like show people that it's easy to like commune and be one with our surroundings.
mm,
Like it's actually begging us to do it. It's like, that's like, look at dogs. Like they're like, come on, come take our love, come take our love. And then like plants, even like they're like, some of them live in houses only, like they can't
mm,
live outside or they'll die. And it's just like the outside is begging to be brought
mm,
inside. And it's like
mm,
when we can actually like find our like happiness with nature, then the happiness within ourselves is exponentially like glorified. It's
mm.
just it's profound. Like my oneness with crystals and with houseplants now is just, I think it's probably like what feeds my agoraphobia, because like I am so happy in my own
Mm,
home, in my own
mm,
space by myself, because I'm safe with me,
mm, mm,
that like I don't want to go outside. I don't want to deal with the outside world.
mm,
And like that's why again I'm really grateful for my jewelry
mm.
experience, because I think that's eventually and inevitably what's going to support me in getting to my PhD. So yeah,
What beautiful dreams. And I cannot help but notice, right, the paradox and and I think that's what life is, right?
yeah,
This wanting to stay inside and feel safe, and also this deep, profound love and
need to
appreciation for
explore.
nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Mhm.
like and
It's a dialectic, because in my home I'm safe, but outside I'm not, but I need
mm,
both. And
mm,
so, and that's what DBT is like supposed to help you navigate, is those dialectics. So it's when you have
mm,
like opposite emotions for the same thing, because like I know I can't stay in my house all day every day, because if I don't, then like I can't pay for shit, and then I can't live where I want, when I want, and do what I
mm,
want with what I want. So it's like and then like also like there's like the outside world. Like I know I don't want to be out there, and I have to though, but because
mm,
like if I don't go and traverse the world, then I won't get the knowledge that I'm seeking,
mm,
and then I won't be able to create the life that I need, you
mm.
know? And so,
Well, I mean, Eden, I met you at obviously it was meant to be, but I
yeah,
met you when you were at the crystal shop that you work at, and
yeah,
you have such a bright light, and I know everybody that's watching and that will watch will see it and sees it. And you have such empathy and compassion, such knowledge in your craft and in your fields, and it's like, man, I'm over here like cheerleading, like, yes, get out into the world. Like the world needs your light. Like like especially with the darkness, right? With the
Yeah.
pandemic, with everything that's going on, and you just so brilliantly have this innate ability to hold on to the light within you and to see it at the end of the tunnels that you've been through. And it's
Mm,
just so incredible.
thank you.
And I mean, again, we kind of,
Yeah.
right, you wanted to like have this topic be about the light and the dark. And so I'm curious, like with everything that you've survived in your life and that you've healed and you're continuing to heal, like what are some of the suggestions that you have for people that are feeling like they're in a really dark place? How can they start to see the light?
We'll talk about it.
Mm,
Even if it's like with like strangers, like the more you talk about it, the easier it
mm,
gets to carry. Like I said, like I'm super open. You can message me anytime about
mm,
anything, and I'll reply like when I have time. Like I'm still very mindful of my personal space, so that's a whole thing too. But I will take care of like like if you're seeking the knowledge and you want the help, like I'm definitely there. I'm ready, I'm willing, and like um I know it's not easy, but it's worth it. Yeah.
mm.
Mm,
No,
yeah. And
that's
sorry, I just
no, go ahead. Yeah.
um and it's just life is one journey before the next. So yeah, I'm really grateful that I get to like share this space and this time and just hold the light with you and everybody who's watching and who will watch. And if the message resonates, like I'm really grateful that I got to spread this and give people like um, you know their light at the end of the tunnel or I don't know, like whatever they need, like the space, like just the space, give them the space to acknowledge what they need to acknowledge and release what they need to release and you know
Mm,
come to terms with like things that they wish they hadn't done. But like at the same time, it's like, if you hadn't done those things, you wouldn't feel the guilt that you feel and you wouldn't
mm,
learn and treat other people better, so
mm.
like everything happens for a reason and your tribe is coming to you. Just keep doing the work and eventually like yeah, you'll get to smile again. And, like even on my car ride here, like to back home today, like I was crying, I was sobbing. Like, so it's like I'm here and I'm happy and like whatnot, but that's because like I'm with you and we're having this conversation and it's taking my mind from
Mm.
my trauma. And so it's like that's another thing is people escape into other things. And so it's
Mm.
like trying not to escape and actually acknowledging and then talking about it and working through it is like the best start. Like you can't heal anything that you don't know that you need to heal. So you have to talk
Mm.
about things that you need to heal. And it'll make
Mm.
you realize things that you do or you don't do, or you'll help other people realize things that they do, by talking about what hurts you and then also by
Mm.
talking about what heals you.
Oh,
So
wow. That's so beautiful. I love that. And like, yeah, just starting by talking about what hurts you and what heals you as the place because you and Aisha is on. She was with me when we met in the store last year. Um, that. the message, right, of the work end, right? And that, it takes bravery to continue to look
Mhm.
and go deeper and say what needs to be healed here, and ask those questions. And it reminds me of, I was just reading this book, which called The Choice, and by she was a Holocaust survivor, and just like incredible light, incredible
Yeah,
spirit of positivity in spite of all that she went through. And I think of you in the same vein. And she talked about, and this was later on in her life, she became a PhD, she became a therapist, and she had this opportunity to go back to Auschwitz, like extremely, right, where there's a lot of trauma. Um, and what it enabled her to go back and remember the moment that gave her all this, that created all this guilty feeling that she had. Because,
because
and
many
I'm
people
sorry?
did. Because she survived and so many people didn't.
She had survivor's guilt, but it was also a specific experience with her mother, because her mother didn't make it. And she felt like responsible for that. But that moment allowed her to find that hidden thing that was buried in her, and say, oh, and be able to bring it to the surface and then heal from that. Even if the age, I mean, I think by that time she was in her 80s,
Yeah,
um, but it's just, it makes me think of that, what you're saying, because if we, it takes courage to say, I'm going to go back to this place, whether it's physically or in your mind, to say, what is there for me to heal so that I can live my best life and I can keep finding the light at the end of all these tunnels. It's just a really beautiful kind of sentiment, I think.
it is beautiful. And that's actually a really powerful thing. And during my like journey and like my path to healing, I actually, I would do a lot of meditation, and in one of the meditations, you actually like walk back into your childhood, and you take yourself along, and you parent yourself the way you needed to be parented rather
Mm.
than the way you were parented. And it actually is really profound because it
Mm.
helps with like switching the way that you so there are certain things that happen, like, right, that like, so the way you were parented, and then that produces these set of behaviors, right? And then like going back through and reparenting yourself, a lot of these behaviors that were like programmed into you start to fade away.
Mm.
And that's really like, oh my god, so good, so good, so great, so awesome. And it actually, it's fulfilling in many ways, because like you're actually able to see like all the good, and you can be grateful for like literally everything that you have, instead of like
Mm.
being sad because like one of your plants fell over and it busted, and so like your whole day is ruined. But like, or like by accepting like people who like treat you with substandard like
Mm.
treatment, like, so that's like something that I've also noticed, because like having like the narcissistic parent, like you start to want to like help everyone else out. Like
Mm.
you want to help everyone clear their dust in a
Mm.
sense. And um then like you're doing all this work for everyone else, and you're not doing your dust. So you're ignoring your dust while clearing the dust for other people. So they're like, "Oh, my path is clear. My path is, that shit's easy to walk." Yeah. But then you're like, "Oh fuck," you look down and you're like, "Now I'm walking blind again."
Mm. Wow, what a powerful analogy. And I think that combination, I mean, you're a very empathetic person. And so the combination of narcissist and empath, like,
Yeah.
is just it's a dangerous one. And I think it's a pattern that people find in relationships, in all kinds of relationships, with loved ones, with
Right.
significant others, whatever,
Friends.
friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
like
my God.
focus out your own dust, right? Makes me think of the Charlie Brown character. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
Linus.
Yeah, Linus, like, just clean yourself up and don't worry about everybody else. That's their bag, right?
Yeah.
Um,
And some people are great messy, like whatever, you know,
yeah.
do that, do you. Um, but also like just because, your life is dusty doesn't mean that you can put dust all over mine.
Oh, holler, cheers to that. Preach. Yes. Don't put your dust on mine.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. What a great,
So,
yes, I love it. So listen, all
um,
right. So I
yeah.
like we have a few minutes. So I guess my question is, you know, putting out in the universe, Eden, like, what is it like that you want? Like, what do you want to call in for yourself in for the rest of the year? Like, put it out. Maybe somebody who's watching now or later can be a part of that magic. But what are you wanting for yourself?
Well, um, I want to move to New York and I want to do Tiffany and Company, something with them. And
Mm.
because like I got a Tiffany and Company scholarship for my graduate gemologist certification.
Oh,
And so that just like solidified a whole bunch of brand loyalty for me. And I want to like work in production or something. I don't know, but something with Tiffany and Company, just a career with Tiffany and Company.
okay. All right.
Uh,
From your mouth to God's ears. Like, let's
in New
all
York, right?
in New
In
York.
New York,
Okay. Everybody who is
son.
on, send some positive vibes to
Thank
Tiffany
you.
folks to like get in touch with Eden.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Anything else?
Yeah. Well, maybe like working on like a metaphysical line, like or like I would really love to like start making or like helping with like crystal prescribing people. So like maybe making like talismans or something of that nature. Um, That and I just want to be in love. Honestly, like I've worked so hard on everything and like I have everything I could ever want and like everything that I ever need is coming to me and I already know that. And so yeah, I don't know. It's just like when you're at that space where you're like internally you're happy with yourself, you're happy with who you are, you're happy with being by yourself. It's just like you want somebody to like the
Mm,
share it with.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a beautiful intention. And I know that when that person shows up in your life, they are going to be the luckiest person alive.
Right. And then we're gonna open the sanctuary
Right,
for
the sanctuary.
yes, for orphan and abused trans kids, and we're gonna like teach them about wildlife rehabilitation and plants and crystals and rocks um and art and like just show them how to heal and be like a giant ball of light and like
Yes.
send them off into the world as their full like self with their like you know like I just know it that one of the kids is gonna like have this skunk familiar and it's just gonna like love to sit on their shoulder and they're gonna like and I'm gonna be like you two are just too cool.
I love that.
Yeah,
What a beautiful intention. And so it shall be, my friend. So it shall be.
yeah,
Yes. So I like, wow, I just, again, Eden, like, really appreciate everything that you shared, your experience. Um, it's important. I think it's important for us all to share our stories and to be
yeah.
heard and seen. And so thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much. And you and me, all right, like we're gonna stay in touch. I'm
Yeah,
gonna connect you with some, I don't know if I know any Tiffany people, but like I'm looking at my Rolodex
yeah.
and all of
It'll
those
all
dreams
come
and so
together.
much more. Yeah, it'll all come together for sure. Keep the
Yeah,
faith, keep that light that you have that shines so bright. And
yeah.
thank you for shining it on this platform today with me.
Oh, lastly, before I go, like I wanna just like if you are thinking about committing suicide and you're listening to this, it's like um that does not erase the pain that you are feeling. It is not a reset button, and you're giving your pain to someone else, and that's um I'm not gonna say it's selfish. I'm not gonna say that, anything like that, because like honestly, I think suicide is something that takes a lot of courage because like they're to the point. It's just that pain that you're you're skipping out on is being given to someone else, and just be mindful of that. And if you need somebody to talk to who understands, who gets it, I'm here for you, and I will always be here for you. And no matter what you say, I can 100% guarantee you that I'm not going to run away or tell you you're crazy, or, like, it's okay. And you can come to me with anything, and I will help you sort it out the best I can. So you're
Well,
loved, and you are protected, and you are guided. So that should be your mantra for
you
a
are
little
loved,
while.
you are protected, and you are guided. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you for opening your heart, opening yourself to others who may be struggling. And I know it's it's great to be able to find places and people that you can go to that you feel like you're in good hands. And there's lots of resources out there for sure. And
Exactly.
certainly, I also am open to if anybody is really struggling for them to reach out, and I'll get you where you need to be that makes sense for where you are in that moment
Right.
in terms of resources.
Yeah, because I don't have the resources. I have the internal advice. Like,
Yes.
I just don't know people. that's
Yeah. Well,
that's my
there's
problem.
lots of, you can Google suicide hotline and it'll come right up for
Yeah.
sure. So there's all kinds of
Which
different types of resources. There's therapists, there's counselors, there's group therapy, there's all
yeah,
kinds of yeah, all kinds. And you talked about so many of them. Some of them you did on your own, some of them you did with other people. So there's
right.
always a way. There's always help out there. It's just
And
about reaching out.
the cop that showed up for the suicide the day for uh the cop that showed up that day, he actually gave me a number for survivors of suicide. So there
Mm,
is also help in that aspect as well. So if you're going through like something where it's not that you're ready to commit suicide, but somebody around you has or is wanting to, and you're not sure how to cope with that, there are also resources for you as well. So don't think that it's just because I'm having suicidal thoughts or actions that I need to reach out to these company or these platforms, because suicide prevention isn't just about you know the suicide itself. It's about the work that goes into that.
mm,
So there's a part of there is a trauma that comes from just even knowing somebody that's committed suicide, or knowing, what I mean. So
mm.
and so many people know somebody who has either committed suicide or know somebody who, you know what I mean? One,
Yeah.
one person every 4 seconds. We've all been touched by suicide. It's
Mm.
such a deep social pandemic, like, and it's the fact that people don't take the time to like care about each other. And it's like that's a part of why I don't like going outside. So it's like just be nice and nice things will happen to you.
Hmm. It
And if you
sounds so
can,
simple, right? It sounds so
yeah,
simple.
it
Yeah.
does sound so simple, and it is. And
Hmm.
that's my whole thing is like when finally get my PhD in geophysics, it's like I know that that information is going to be so profound for me that I'm going to make like simple solution to complex problems. And I am so excited and grateful, and I can't wait to experience that and see the
Hmm.
simple solutions. Like that's it. There are simple
Yeah.
solutions to complex problems, and we just are in too much of a hurry to slow down and see them.
Hmm.
And that's it. Because like so many people are like, okay, this they think suicide is the simple solution, and it's not, because
Hmm.
that's gifting that pain to someone else. And so that's that's where like what is the simplest solution is to like lead with kindness, like wherever you go, make sure that like your footsteps kiss the earth, you know what I mean? So it's just walk light-footed and see the beauty in each other, and lift up what you like, and don't say anything about what you don't, and just yeah, easy as that.
Yeah. Yeah. Simple advice that sometimes can really cut through. It cut through all the complexity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and just
Well,
lift it, lift each other up. We got to look out
yes.
for each other. We're all in this together, you know. Paradise doesn't come easy.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and
Lift each
we're
other
worthy
up.
of it. We're worthy of it. You know, we like my sister used to say, hell is what we go through here on earth. But you know
Mm,
what? We have the power to create paradise here. And
mm,
if we can just, you know, I know there's so many problems over in the Middle East, and I can't even begin to like fathom the simple solutions that it's going to take
mm,
to solve that complex problem, but they're out there. We just have to get the right minds thinking about them.
mm. Indeed. Yeah. Well, you are definitely taking big steps forward and helping the
Yeah.
journey of finding more kindness in the world and more peace in the
Yeah.
world. So
And spreading the
thank
message
you.
for world
Yeah.
peace and like
Yes.
tolerance and acceptance.
Yeah. And the goddess Demetria says, I miss you. So
Yes.
you have got
Miss
more
back.
plans. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time, Eden. I so appreciate it, and I look forward to continuing our friendship and doing whatever I can to support you in making all of those beautiful dreams come true. So you and I will definitely be in touch, my friend.
Yeah. We'll definitely like when I move to New York, we'll have to take and go crystal shopping sometime.
Yes, yes,
Do
I
the
am
whole like
down.
day. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
100%. Yeah, that's
Love it.
happening. All
Love
right.
it.
All
All
right.
right.
Thanks again, my friends.
Yeah. Stay
Appreciate
rad, drink
you.
water, take care.
All right, you
Thank
too.
you.
All
Bye.
right. Ciao for now.
Ciao. Have fun.